backend now, and we are going to get everything set up for our tasks. Okay, so I'm going to go to user stories. I'm going to copy the folder and I'm going to paste it in there. I'm then going to rename it tasks, and I'm going to close out of that. Start with entities. Let's rename this task entity. All right, .ts. So we are going to have a task, which, let's go to our routes. We will have an ID, okay? It will correspond to a user story. And we will have user story. And then we will have user story dot tasks. And then here we will have user story, user story. All right. You can see that we're getting a red squiggly line in tasks, and that's because it doesn't exist on user story. So I am going to use the feature entity to copy and paste this one-to-many relationship, and then we will add that to the user story entity at the bottom here. All right, so we have task, and then we will have task.user story. And let's import our one-to-many. And then we're going to have tasks equal to task. All right, cool. All right. Then let's go ahead and look. We do not have a description for our task, but we do have a name, a corresponding user story, and a status. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and edit my other entities, and I'm going to get rid of the status column because all of my statuses are going to roll up from task. So I don't want to have to be editing. I'm just going to get this task statuses and then roll them up. So let's go to feature entity. But this way, when I run my migration, it will take care of this all for me. This is why migrations are so nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of all the rest of these. All right, task. Now let's go to our service. Let's rename this to task.service.ts. And we're going to have tasks service. And then I think this should be tasks plural instead. Okay. So we want to inject the repository task instead. We're going to call it tasks repository, and it will be using our task entity. So we're going to say get user story tasks. So then we're going to do this dot tasks repository where user story ID. All right, create task. We don't have a description, but we do have a user story ID. So then we are going to say this dot tasks repository, save name, and the user story is going to be equal to the ID of the user story ID. And then we will go ahead and get user story tasks using the user story ID. Okay. Now let's edit our final piece of the tasks puzzle. We want this to be tasks.module.com. This should be task. This should be tasks service. And this should also be task service. And the name of the module is going to be tasks module. All right, we are going to want to use it within auth, so we have to add it first to the auth module. We'll say tasks module, and let's import it. All right, and then we also want to add it to our auth service, so we can use it within the service functions. Perfect. All right, so now we should be able to, let's go back. Let's go to our auth controller, and we're gonna go back to create task. All right, and we are going to return this .authService.create task, and then we're going to pass in taskdto.name, taskdto. So nope, then the next one will be rec.user.sub to get the user ID. Then we're going to have taskdto.project ID. We're going to have taskdto.feature ID. Then we're going to have taskdto.user story ID. And then we are going to, I think that is it. Okay, so now we need to add that to our auth service. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this entire function here and edit it to use it for tasks. Okay, we have no description, but we do have a user story ID, which is a number. Okay, we don't have description, and this is going to be user story ID. And we don't want to create a user story. We want to create a this.taskService.create task. Okay, and we don't want to do that feature. All right, so let's go down this. Okay, so we are going and getting all the projects associated with the user ID. Then we're going to use the project ID to find the specific project in question. Then we are going to get the list of features from that project. Then we are going to find the feature based on the feature ID. Then we are going to have our user stories list, which is going to be equal to feature.user stories. And then we are going to do const user story is equal to user stories dot find, or is a story, and then it's going to be story.id is equal to user story ID. And then we're to say if we end up with the user story ID, then we are going to create the task. Otherwise, we will say that our user story is not found. Okay, we might have to do some editing to this large block of code later because we're doing a lot of looping, and I think we can do it in a better way, but it's gonna work for now. Okay, all right, so I am going to then console.log the user story that comes back. And I'm going to give it a try. Okay. So I'm going to add a developer task to this user story 6. And I'm going to say, this is my task. Create my task. And all right, it does find user story 6, which is the correct user story, but we didn't run our migration. So let's go ahead and do that. npm run migration generate. We want to change, and we are going to say create task table. And let's generate. Okay, and let's run it. All right, looks like we dropped the column status for everything and then added our table task. Perfect. So let's go back to add task and create. Whoop, whoop. Our developer task has been created. Let's go take a look at what it created. And we have one task. This is my task. Very exciting. Okay. So now we are good on the back end. And let's head back to the front end. And nope, not user stories, create task accordion. Okay, so we then want to update our task list, okay? So we want to go back one level to where our tasks were, which is going to be our user story details accordion. And you can see that we have all of our tasks here, okay? So let's go ahead and add our state, which is going to be const tasks set tasks is equal to use state. All right, and then we want to import use state. All right. Now we want to go ahead and add tasks to the cascade of things because we don't want to use these sample dev tasks at this point. We want to use our tasks here instead. So I'm going to just do an empty array here. Let's set it equal to sample dev tasks for now. Okay, so it doesn't break. All right, so now let's go ahead and we want to and then we broke everything. All right, so project 3 should have 4 features. So let's go to our project page and let's see what happened here. So let's do console.log data. Features 4. All right, so let's take a look at project. Features 4. So then let's move this. And let's take a look at features 4. Right, now let's go. Oh, because we got rid of our feature status. Okay, so we are going to do feature dot status is equal to do. Okay, I hope that made sense. Basically, when we wiped the database for the statuses, we were reading the status to determine what column they go into. But at this point, we don't have that worked out, so we're going to add it to do. Okay. Okay. So let's open up our features. And we have our user stories in them. We don't have our tasks within our user stories, so that is what we need to add. So auth, project service, and then we're going to add to the array. It's going to be features.userstories.tasks. And then let's refresh the page. User stories, tasks. All right. So we are going to do actually here. Okay, so feature status. Trying to decide, I kind of want to do this now, but I feel like this is going to derail our video. So I'm going to wait, but the next video we're going to start dealing with the statuses, okay? All right, so feature K, I have my user story 6, and then it added my task here, but it added it on refresh, okay? So, oh, that's just a description, my bad. We're still using all of our sample developer tasks, and I don't want to. So what we need to do is from project, we need to pass down now. We need all of our things. So let's go here. Let's stop console logging features because we know that tasks are now in there. Okay, let's follow the line though. So feature modal is going to be the next thing, and we are passing in our stories. So let's follow that line then. All right, so it looks like we are just passing in into the user story details accordion. We are passing in status, right? So we also need to pass in tasks here. So we say tasks is equal to story dot tasks. All right. I'll just say tasks. All right, and then let's go to and let's add type task. Export type task is going to be equal to name string status string. Okay, so let's go back to our feature modal and then let's import this task. Okay, then it's mad at us because we don't have tasks as a prop, so let's add it. All right, so then tasks is going to be equal to all right, so then let's call this dev tasks, set dev tasks. And then we are going to map through dev tasks. All right. That's looking pretty good. Let's take a look. This is my task. Woohoo! Okay, so then what we need to do, right, so no task there, yes, task there. Okay, so create task accordion, then we want to pass in set tasks, set dev tasks. All right, and then let's go ahead and get this type here. And then let's go to our create task accordion. And on response, we are going to set tasks equal to response.data. We need to add it to the props. And we need to import task. All right. Let's go ahead and see what's going on now. All right. Let's do feature A. There's one user story. That should not be there, I don't believe. Just trying to, I'm losing track of where I added things. All right. Okay, so did I add it to A? Let's go verify. Let's refresh. Let's go look at my tasks. All right, task 1 has to do with user story ID 1. So let's go look at user story ID 1. User story ID 1 is user story 6. So yeah, we're having an issue because it's coming up here, but it should be coming up in feature K and user story 6. I'm gonna refresh my page and see if that helps. So it comes up there now. And it comes up there. Very interesting bug. Not up there now. So it comes up there, but I click on A and it comes up there. Then I go back and click on K and it doesn't until I refresh. Very strange. All right, we will debug that. Let's continue though for now. All right, so let me refresh. Let's go to K. Let's add one here. So task 1. This should be on feature K6. Okay, so that added. That's nice. So now if I refresh my page, there's my task. So those are my different tasks. But then this one pops up randomly for feature A, user story A. All right, I will need to debug that a little bit, but it looks like other than that weird. So let's add another one, task 2. Create task 2. All right, other than that, it looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that we have our onSubmit function done. We created our task database table. We have the create task API route. We have the function that saves a new task, and we have the success toast. So you would think we're done, but we're not because we need to debug, okay? So we are going to go to our, so we will say this is done, but let's go to our to-do list main where we have bugs. I'm going to say weird task bug where a task is popping up under the incorrect feature / user story. All right. Cool. And then we also want to figure out statuses, okay? Which we will do next video. All right, I'll see you soon.